This is a video that's kind of going over the general idea of exporting JMs properly, setting UV, and extending the PSD if needed. I'm going to, for the sake of this, just so you get the idea, because there is a wrong way of doing it. So we are going to start on the KTM. I've already got some parts picked out. We're going to hide these. Push tab to go into this mode. I'm going to select this one for the header, just this part, because if you're in the other option we're about to be in, it likes to grab the wrong part. So we're going to snag these. Don't know why I said that with an accent. And I'm pushing L for all of this. So it's a quick selector. If you don't know Blender, 1 on your numpad has to be a numpad. 3, 7, and then 9 is what flips it the other way. So another way to get around too is scrolling zooms in, control while sliding your mouse and clicking in your mouse wheel zooms, and shift moves it up and down. So I've got everything I need PSD wise laid out. Oops. We're just kind of going through and just deleting things that we will not need because of the parts. I forgot the hooks. So the first part we're going to be fitting, gonna have to re-UV it. Doesn't matter if it fits or not. So we got the FMF. This was made by Will. So that kind of just slips right on there. The next one we have is we're just going to put the get on. I did test all of this beforehand, so everything should line up. The next part, I know I'm going to have to delete some stuff, is we are putting on a new hole shot device. Now, the parts that I am fitting right now, they have been made by Faucheur. So right now I'm just going through making sure that it'll fit. Gonna mute. My apologies for that. The washer was emptying water. So once you got that right where you want it, I'm going to need that other part. So let's just go ahead and reopen this, because I'm going to need this for measurements. So we can go ahead and delete that, make sure this is going to be nice and flush. So now the other thing we will be fitting is handguards. We can go ahead and close that. Hopefully these fit. I like to have this in the middle so I can try to line it up just right. We're going to go ahead and separate that. So I'm going to go into this first circle to go into the wireframe. And I'm going to go ahead and set the points. That's barely past the lever. Just trying to get this to go around. Alright, so we will combine these again, set that. So that is every part we are fitting. Yes. So now we will go into Photoshop. We've got all the works. We don't have frame guards, so we can hide that. Same with fat bar, but we have the pro taper bars. Going to hide the shading. Same with the rest of the bike. I'm just going to put it into a folder. So now with extending the PSD, you want to go to File, New, and you want it to be 8192 by 4096. It doesn't matter if it's the width, that's 8192, but the height, if you can't remember that, you can always do 4096 and then do the times or the asterisk 2, and it does the math for you. So now what you want to do is right click on your bike, duplicate, and go to the one you just made. It's already going to be there. You will have to re-UV map the whole bike. So by extending the PSD, none of your stuff none of the JMs that came with the bike are going to work. The reason for hiding the shading is UV mapping. So we are going to be getting everything and just duplicating it in. Trying to conserve some space, don't really need to, but still. Then we duplicate this. Okay, that was made for there, so we will get this, duplicate it as well, and put this shading. Just in the shading folder, and then we hide that. Then we have the FMF. Put that in there. I like to do all of the work in here, or in Photoshop first. Makes it a lot easier to UV map to the PSD than trying to put the PSD to the UV. It's a lot easier, saves you a lot of time. So right now I am in 3.2. Yeah, 3.2.2. Gonna click this up here, the editor type button, go to UV editor. Drag this all the way over to make it easier to see. Open, Untitled 1, and it's all gonna be stretched. Sometimes this is already open. If it's not, there's an arrow right at the top. Click it, and then click transform. And then you can pretty much just free range move it to your pleasing. If you want to purposely mess it up to mess with your friends, by all means. But pretty much you just want to, this is where you'd want to be a perfectionist. Just kind of going around the borders, making sure that everything fits. Just kind of check all 4 corners wherever you can see. So that's good. Now we will just combine these two because they're together. Oh, never mind. Those are separate. But we'll grab them. We'll highlight them both. And then kind of just shrink. Sometimes it's easier to split them up. Can barely see that, but that's good. Now we snag the handguards. Oops. Now we gotta do this. This should already be close to good. Just kind of make it better safe than sorry. Snag the handguards now. And just kind of just mess with it. Try to keep it around the edge, but don't go straight to the edge. Because there's a chance that it might overhang at a different spot. So when it does that, it'll show the lines through it. So that's good. Now we grab the exhaust. I need to hide the shading on the exhaust. I can't see that very well. There we go. Drag it down. You can easily move it, but sometimes it's already lined up. Just move down. Just helps, I guess. Do it your own way. Just kind of try to leave an edge on it, because sometimes it will mess up if you don't. It's like this right here. Oops. Just kind of mess with it to get it to stay within the lines. but you do not want it to overhang at all. If it is, then it will not look right. Alright, so now once you think you got everything, oop, I don't believe I got that, but yeah, I did. Should just be as simple as just stretching it over. Kind of just try to keep it in the area if you can. So now, if you highlight the entire bike, you'll be able to tell if something wasn't UV mapped. So now once we got that, you can go ahead and save as. You can save it, but since this is saving over the KTM, I don't want to do that. So we save that. Now we can close it. I'm gonna go ahead and go through, close these because I don't need them all open anymore. So now what you want is go to blender.org, download, that is not what I wanted. You want 2.79. So we got that. So now I can go ahead and close these two. I will include links to everything you would need. Oops. So now the other thing you're going to want is the MXS pivot point. Now here, you want to file, append, and then click on your blend object, highlight it all. If it shows up black, it's okay. Just right click, push tab. So now just make sure you've got everything. Move it, you should be good. Now in here, you are going to have to push 5 to get to the proper view. And then just line up the jig. One trick I have is having it over to one side more than the other so you can line up the front. you're in here, if you have the original blend, go ahead and open that. We're going to be snagging these. And then just bringing it in. Now everything in here compared to the newer version of Blender, like when you're clicking it, it is right click, where when you're moving it, it's left. So right now I'm just going ahead and lining it up. Don't have to, but it makes it easier on me. Alright, so now the easy part here is with the KTM, or not KTM, but just the bike in general. Go to click on the icon that's down here, properties, and then click the fourth option from the right, and it brings up this page. And then from here, just click on what you want. So in this case, base, go to the down arrow, copy, right click, paste. So now you're just going to be doing that for every material. Makes it a lot easier than just copying, going back and forth.
How long is this going to take?
You don't need the donor bike anymore. So now the other thing you want to check for too is go to the next option over. You want to check the UV maps. It is important to check that because if you don't, something will not work. So now you can always, forgot that. So now you can always grab it, make sure, then just do Control Z. So now once you're here, I try to line up the very front pixel with this line. Doesn't have to be perfect, but it is what it is. So now what you want to do now is select the part you want to join, and then select that part of the jig, do Control J. And then just do that for every part. You always want to select the jig last. So now you're going to come down to these squares, select the first one, just like in the other version, click the jig, push L, then go through, do P, delete. So now you want to do that for each part of the jig. You can leave it there, but then you're going to be seeing a giant cube in your motor. Or you're going to be seeing this stuff, these cylinders running through your wheel. Not exactly ideal. So now once you got that, go ahead and make your folder. I like to do this part now. Add the shading back if you haven't already. And then export your JMs. not JMs, your PNGs. So now I have it here. I read the 450. Just kind of go through and do like you normally would. I forgot to put the shading back here. So let's do that again. Don't ask about those pictures. I have no idea. My ex still has my Photoshop. So now once again, I feel like that's not named right. I was right. I like to just hide the norm after putting it on. Don't know why. It is just my personal preference. So now once we got that, come back to here. Doesn't matter where you start, just start somewhere. Right click, object, apply rotation and scale. Export, JM, find your folder. Click on the PNG you made. And then name it however you would, usually. It may say rotation and scale here, but I've had times where it hasn't worked. So I go ahead and just do the apply rotation and scale every single time to make sure. So now we got that. We got these folders here. Copy. Paste. Wait for my controller to turn on. Start the game. Go to find it, wherever it is. Make sure you've got everything. I do. Oh well. You got the idea. But that's all for that. I'm gonna go gather links now, so hopefully this helped.